This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds, and I'm responding this time to many of you who have asked me to comment on the Ukrainian crisis in relationships between Russia on the one hand and the United States and Western Europe on the other. And I'm glad to do so. I will not repeat what you can find in the mass media, who are whipping up pretty much of a hysteria around this issue, but I will try to shed light that you might not have otherwise seen focused on this event. So in no particular order, but in order to at least bring some level of reasonable sanity to this discussion, which is not easy when you have this level of drumbeats of war all around you, but I'll try. First, anyone who knows about history will understand that many wars or near wars are occasioned by the domestic political concerns of those who go to war. That's not new, that's not specific to the U.S., but it doesn't exclude the U.S. either. So let me begin by an observation which can be found in many places around the world, although it's kind of scarce here for reasons that will become obvious. Mr. Biden and the Democratic Party have suffered a series of stunning defeats. And those defeats are making Mr. Biden and the Democratic Party look weak and ineffectual, and for good reason. Let me go just through some of them. Build Back Better has been reduced to a vague shadow of what it once was. The commitment to protect voting rights of people who are being pushed out of their voting rights by the Republican Party, the ability of Mr. Biden and the Democrats to win that one is also gone by the boards. The numbers of people dying of COVID in the United States as I speak make it look that Mr. Biden's promise to fix that problem relative to the failures of Trump, that's not working out real well either. And we all know that after 2 years of suffering economic collapse nearly and COVID disaster, the economic program of the Biden administration seems to be to preside over an inflation with nothing more powerful than a promise that it won't last all that long, as if they can predict the future, and it won't be that bad, as if they can predict the future. So Mr. Biden and the Democrats need to distract all of us from the failures of the Democratic Party domestically. And many times in U.S. history, as in that of other countries, nothing works to distract attention so much as a nice, scary, foreign kerfuffle. And that's what the Ukraine, in large part, not all, but in large part, is about. You can watch, by the way, the same game being played by that pathetic Boris Johnson in England, who is now down to virtually no support at all, having been caught organizing alcohol parties at the same time that he told the rest of the British people they couldn't gather in groups more than 3 because of the danger of COVID. Having been caught, having been exposed as a liar repeatedly, having large numbers of members of his own party ask him, urge him to go, he needs to send weapons to the Ukraine and make as much noise as he can in the desperate effort to deflect attention from his domestic catastrophes. So that's one part of the story, but it's not all. The United States and Europe don't agree on how to deal with this, and that should be understood because it will be definitive here. The United States wants what? A war with Russia. Guess where the war will take place? In Europe. The United States and Russia even get together to discuss and negotiate when the place where the damage will be done is in Europe. So the Europeans, guess what? They're not so eager for a war because they don't care to risk all that means for the country of Ukraine, with whom they have neither financial nor any other great shared interests. So the United States is going to have a problem with the Europeans. It already does. In the rush for hysteria, the pretense of a coalition with Europe is maintained in the American press. It has all the substance of those coalitions in Afghanistan and Iraq that were thin disguises for something the United States wanted, and the others went along with 10% real, 90% fakery. Then there are the people we are, quote, as a nation, the U.S., allied with in the Ukraine. An ugly bunch of people that includes significant Nazi and fascist movements. The United States is so eager to have this game run its designed, choreographed direction that it doesn't want us to talk about that, let alone to demand that those we support not have that kind of history or those kinds of commitments. And finally, here's the basic question. Is whatever happens in the Ukraine worth a war? Really? In the nuclear age? Now? With all the problems the United States has? I don't think so, and I don't think the American people, any more than the Europeans, will go for that. So if you do it, you can expect your support for it after an initial euphoria in the nature of a pep rally to disappear on you faster than it disappeared in Afghanistan, which is why we're not there anymore, in Iraq, which is why we're really not there anymore, and in Vietnam, which kicked us out. So we have to face that reality. Otherwise, it's going to undo us. So make no mistake. Wars can happen out of these calculations and miscalculations, but the origin of all of this has much more to do with domestic politics and, since I'm an economist, domestic economics than anything else. And here's the domestic economics, and if you want to understand it better, watch Texas Senator Cruz. The United States needs buyers for its energy output. Europe is one of the most important. Russia has incredible stocks of oil and gas, and it is shipping those to Europe. Europe has to make a decision between Russian and U.S., and much of this is about trying to use this struggle to squeeze the Russians out of the European energy market and the Americans in. Europeans don't want it because the Russian gas and oil are cheaper. And that is the reality behind the hysteria. And I hope that these considerations will add something as each of you think about and deal with the risks we all face as this plays itself out. If videos like this and additions to the national conversation of this sort seem to you to be valuable, that's why we make them, in the hopes that they do. And if they do, partner with us, please. Share this video with friends, relatives, co-workers, your family, and so on. That's why we do it. Help us extend our reach. And if you can also help us financially to pay all the costs of extending our reach, please know that that will be appreciated as much as you're partnering with us in every other way. Thank you.